Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to today's panel discussion organized by the Public Relations Society of India, Kolkata chapter. PRSI is the National Association of PR practitioners across the country with 22 chapters. It was established in 1958 to promote and recognize the public relation as a profession and to interpret to the public its potentialities and as a strategic management function. Today's discussion would be on a topic which is very relevant in the present times fraud prevention and insight. And we have with us Mr. Sandeep Sengupta, Founder Director ISOAH Data Securities Private Limited, Certified Information Systems Auditor, Certified Ethical Hacker, Lead Auditor ISO 27001, ISO 22301, Privacy, and GDPR. Apart from being a recognized security consultant, Mr. Sengupta has been awarded the ITPV and Tech Plus Media Award for Business Leader in 2016 and Best Startup for Information Security by the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry for his entrepreneurial skills. I would now request our Vice Chairman of PRSI Kolkata chapter and a former business journalist and media consultant, Mr. Subhash Mohanty, who would be in conversation with Mr. Sandeep Sengupta today, to serve if we could commence this evening's proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjukta, and a very good evening to all of you. It is indeed heartening to see so many of you here to watch our webinars on subjects of contemporary interest. Today, we bring you face-to-face on one of the oft-repeated, oft-discussed subjects of the millennium. We've been hearing so many breaches about cyber frauds over the last few years, and ever since cyberspace has become a part of our lives. These are true signs that warn us about how rapidly cybersecurity industry is progressing. With time, new devices are getting connected to the internet. And as newer devices get connected to the internet, there are newer methods of exploitation that are being researched and invented every day. The truth is, we probably are never going to be completely safe. Threats not only emerge from remote locations, but often come from our near vicinity, from individuals who may be aware of our needs and our uses. The world is moving rapidly towards an irreversible digital environment, which makes it even more vulnerable to security breaches. We are losing count of many number of companies and governments that have fallen prey to digital hacking. The volume of such events lays bare the paradox of digital economy and cybersecurity. On the one hand, technology has led us to convenience, to efficiency, and wealth creation. Companies today push to connect everything that can be connected. On the other hand, this great push to digitize society means it has become more vulnerable. This is taking place atop a deeply fragmented and underdeveloped system of global rules. Sandeep, a very good evening to you. You have called yourself an ethical hacker. So what prompted you to be one, and how is the society safe with the community of ethical hackers? We will come to this definitely. We would like to talk about that. I'm not letting you go without answering that question. But before that, let us address some concerns about companies, about individuals. So I will start straight away by asking you a question which has got three parts, which is, what do you think are the biggest threats for companies at the moment? What are the measures that are being taken to mitigate these threats? And what are the common weaknesses in the current IT security strategies? Sandeep, over to you, and we are all ears.
Very good evening to all the viewers. Good evening, Shubhasda. Thanks to PRSI for inviting me over here. Now, coming to the question that you have asked, cyber security is something which has become very crucial. I started 21 years back, and that time cybersecurity was not that a big concern because not everybody was on the cyber world. At this moment, you see, uh, most of the work that you do, right from placing an order for food, from commuting to a different place, you use Ola Uber, you use Zomato for taking a food order. You talk to your relatives on Skype, on WhatsApp. So you cannot avoid this cyber world. Now the problem is once we get very habituated with the cyber world, we are not very well educated. Where are the traps? Where is the vulnerability? Because we have learned this very recently. We have seen the good side of the cyber world, but we have not seen the cyber bad side of the cyber world. So in our language, we call it a cyber hygiene. So do we have a good hygiene? Like in the COVID pandemic, do we know how to keep ourselves safe from COVID? We had to learn that in a very within a very short time. So when we talk about the cyber world, there are three types of people. One, who are very senior, like they are not used to the cyber world, but they are now trying to adapt to the cyber world. But they have some shortcomings in learning how to keep themselves safe. There is a huge middle section, maybe some people from 30 to 50. They are trying to cope up. Now, since they are into full-fledged maybe job or business, they have to adapt more than the senior people, but still they are not very habituated or they do not know where are the risks. And we have very young people, like below 20. Now, these people below 20, they are not into job, but they are very tech savvy. And
Sandeep,
many of these people,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I interjected. I'm sure we are going to come to those issues. I said we'd come to companies as well as individuals. I
Mhm.
just wanted you to mention if there are any threats to the company. What are the major threats to companies? Let us get into that corporate environment and see, because
Okay.
business is the one which is getting more affected today. So, if you talk a little bit about that, and then we'll come to individuals. Thank
No,
you.
I was coming to that. I was coming to
Yeah.
the point that these
Okay.
young people, many of them, they are
Okay.
very
Okay.
tech savvy, but they
Okay.
they have a plenty of time to experiment. And the
Okay.
people who they experiment against are the corporate or
Hmm.
someone in the business. Now, if you see that the cyber crime against the corporate, most of the crime are done by young people below 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Okay.
have all the knowledge because they can learn from YouTube. They Many of them do not have the job in this pandemic, in the unemployment, because we know there is a huge amount of unemployment in our country. So how they can earn money? Either they can go against the corporate, or just for fun they are doing all these experiments against the corporate. Now, how the corporate is at risk? See, corporate, whenever, because I am an auditor, I went to a lot of companies for audit, right from bank to FMCG to hospitals. Corporate always think if you go to a corporate and you talk to a CIO or a CTO, and if you ask them what is the control, what have you done to make yourself more secure, they will first start with antivirus, then they will talk about firewall. However, in our field, we always say security means people, process, technology. So technology is the last thing that we mention in our security landscape, in our roadmap. So every security problem starts with people. And this is the most neglected part in any corporate. If you go to a corporate and you ask them, what have you done for your security? They will say, I have spent around 40 lakhs for a firewall. Immediately, when you ask them, how much have you spent to train your people so that they are aware of the risks? The answer is most likely zero. So if you have a bunch of indisciplined people who doesn't know what to do and what not to do, then he was overspending on the technology. to keep them disciplined, and yet you are failing times and again. This is the biggest mistake that the corporate guys are doing. So if you really want to keep yourself secured, you should focus on the people first. Even the technology that we are using, these are people driven. Like we are using machine learning. Just see how we have moved from day to day. 20 years back or maybe 15 years back, when you buy a new mobile or a calculator or a laptop, you used to learn the machine, right? Human beings used to learn how that machine works. Now machine is learning us. That is called machine learning. So when the I have a security firewall, they try to find out what is the human behavior, what is the pattern, because some office works at 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock at the night. Some office works between morning 8 to evening 6 o'clock. So a machine has to understand at what time we have the peak activity hours, and they always gives you an alert when there is a deviation from that peak alert. So this is very important that if you are a corporate strategist or a CIO or a CTO, you focus on people, not just on the technology. If you are
Great.
not spending on people training, then you will actually have a lot of overspending on technology, and your company will not be secure.
Fantastic. I mean, that was a very good observation, Sandeep. Thank you very much. So, so everything is all about individuals. So, focusing when we focus on people, we talk about individuals. So, obviously, there are lots of threats to individuals in the digital space. See, other than sensible precautions, like most people, like individuals take, such as not sharing personal information. What are the other precautions that you should be taking, and so that you are not deceived by the cyber criminals?
See, I can divide the entire time zone into two parts. I would say
Yes.
pre-COVID and post-COVID, or I should say present, now, or before COVID. So before the pandemic, the most of the crime was about net banking, about credit card, debit card, corporate frauds also like ransomware, where our ransomware is like where your data gets encrypted. Every day, somebody gives me a call and tells me I have been hit by a ransomware. Now, ransomware is not a technology problem; it's a people problem. Like so, ransomware can only start if somebody will insert an USB drive, that is a pen drive, into a laptop or a desktop, or somebody downloads an email attachment. Now comes the point: why will somebody download an email attachment? Cyber criminals, they are very good with playing with human psychology. I'll give you an example. An email comes to you with a spoofing. Spoofing means I can send an email from your ID to somebody else's ID. So if I am a criminal, I will send an email from the tax department. I am not actually hacked into the tax department. What I am doing, I am sending an email as if I am the tax department, and I'm sending an email to you with an attachment that this is your tax refund. Will you open it or not? Yes, we will open it.
Most likely.
I'm sending an email to somebody from the HR department saying that this is your appraisal, and I have attached a PDF over there which is nothing but a malware. Will you open it or not? Yes, we will open it. So these are the psychological trick that the hackers are playing to fool people. Now this was going on all throughout for the last 10 years or 15 years, and I will give you more examples. Now come to post-COVID, post the lockdown started. The moment lockdown started, we moved into work from home. Now, once we moved into work from home, this is not, I would say the IT guys or the girls, maybe 20-30% people were used to this work from home. But what about the remaining 70%? Most of the people, I don't know how many normal guys who are job going people, they are used to this technique of work from home. Now, when they started work from home, there is a huge change in their lifestyle. What type of change? When you go and work in a company, you are guarded by the office firewall, by the office antivirus, by the office IT guys. Every problem is their problem, not your problem. So when you face a problem, you always transfer that problem to the IT guy at office, and they are the guardians, local guardians, they are the protectors. When you are working from home, there is no office firewall, there is no office LAN, there is no office internet, there is no office IT guy to help you out. You are on your own. So you are completely exposed. The moment you are exposed, you are vulnerable to these hackers. How you are vulnerable? Let me give you some examples. When was the last time you have changed the Wi-Fi password? Most likely never. Even if you are tethering from your creating a Wi-Fi hotspot from your mobile, I can hack into a Wi-Fi connection within 30 days. So if the password is strong, it will take 30 to 45 days to brute force into that password. So if I can get into your Wi-Fi, I am within the same trusted zone, and I can see whatever you are transferring, data transferring over there. So if you have not changed your Wi-Fi password over the last 30, 45 days, most likely you have not changed for the last 6 months, I know your password. And if I know your password, immediately I know what you are transferring over there. So these type of problems, and when some companies have allowed to use their own personal device, so I am doing office work from my own laptop, which might be using a pirated Windows or a pirated software, and these pirated softwares are sitting ducks. So if you still are using XP in your laptop, I can take a remote hijacking. I can hijack your laptop within 2 minutes. So companies are having this difficulty in upgrading the personal devices. That is not actually company's responsibility. Third example, I saw that a lot of companies are remotely connecting to the office server directly. So they use any day team viewer to connect to the office server to give quick support. Again, immediately these servers are attacked by ransomware. Fourth problem, I saw a lot of people have used pen drive to collect the data from the office, and they are taking back that data at home. What if that pen drive is locked? So you need to encrypt the pen drive, but that is not happening. So I can give you 100 checkpoint list about what has to be done, but you will find most of the companies have not done what should have been done. So these companies are falling one after another, and people are facing a lot of difficulties. Not only that, suppose the moment this pandemic started and people are locked within their home, they started playing games. They started installing apps. Many of these apps, even today, you will see government has banned more than 100 apps, right? It is today's big news. I was live on the ABP News 18 to give a comment on that. Now, government is forced to ban this app. Why didn't they ban it 1 year back? You will see due to lockdown, people have randomly started downloading a lot of apps. And these apps, many of them are malware. So when apps are installed in our mobile, these mobiles becomes the biggest vulnerable device. And when you look back, you will see we are mostly using mobile for uh, our daily browsing, email checking, Facebook checking. You hardly do it from your laptop. Even for this particular uh, session, I believe you are using your mobile, right? And what if your mobile is
I am.
vulnerable?
I am.
What if mobile is vulnerable? How much protection have you given to your mobile? So I'll take a one survey. I will ask you one question. Does your laptop have an antivirus?
Yeah, of course.
Does
Even
your
my
mobile
mobile
has
has an antivirus. It
your
has.
mobile has an antivirus, then you are maybe within the 22% or 3% exception. So if we take a poll over here, how many of your mobile has an antivirus? You will see 90% of the people, the answer will be no. But for
I think
100% people, the answer
Sandeep, you're right,
laptop.
because when you buy a new mobile, when you're buying a new mobile, and that time the dealer is telling you put a virus, and most probably you put an antivirus then. But whether you carry it on year on year, that is the question. So that that brings us this question. I mean, you talked about citizens have to be aware. Therefore, see, today you made a very significant point about passwords. Very simple thing, but obviously some of it, the solution lies in frequently changing your passwords. So that is something which one should start doing, and therefore you're probably still vulnerable, but you're less vulnerable, as you said. You talked about the XPs and Windows 7s and things like that, which are lodged in many of our computers even today, and those are sitting ducks, you said. So you need to keep changing. You need to keep getting onto the newer versions. I don't know if that's a kind of a solution that we are talking about. And uh, could you tell us how ordinary citizens can keep abreast of the latest digital threats? You just spoke about some, and are the websites are there any websites that are there readily for people to go and see and understand the threats? Would you recommend any websites like that?
I would recommend one website for the corporate. That
Yes.
website is basically CERT.in, CERT, that is Computer Emergency Response Team for India. They are doing a very good job. So whenever there is a threat or a risk which has been problem for the Indian citizen, they publish articles on their website almost every day. They keep up with bulletin. So for every corporate and even for individual, if you want to know what are the latest threats, you must go to the Certin website. You can search Google Certin and CERTIN, Certin website, and you will find a detailed bulletin over there.
That's interesting. Uh, uh, Now, coming to this popular subject that we talk about, we hear the terms hacker, and we also hear the term cracker often used, and sometimes interchangeably. Could you explain the two terms, and what are the differences, if there are any?
So in our world, we always say there are five types of hackers. One is a good
Okay.
hacker or an ethical hacker, or you can say a hacker maybe. And there are bad hackers, cyber criminals, who are also called black hat hackers. So the good hackers are called white hat hackers, and the bad hackers are called the black hat hackers. And then we have script kiddies, like people, young people who knows how to run tools, but they do not know how the tool works. So there are, I mean, even you can learn how to make a bomb looking at YouTube. So every bit of knowledge is there on the YouTube. So even a class 9, 10 student can go to YouTube and learn a lot of things, but they do not have the in-depth knowledge. So they are called the script kiddies. Other than that, there are gray hat hackers. I mean, they are researchers. From time to time, you will see that somebody has found something and got went public. So they are not doing it for money, but they're doing it for public research,
Interest.
or they want to publish it in front of the world so that the world get to know, and they take the precautions. So they are the gray hat hackers, and we have the hacktivists like Anonymous. So if you see, if you must have heard the name Anonymous, so Anonymous is a group. They have taken down more than millions of porn sites proactively, and they have taken down more porn sites than what the police all over the world collectively have taken down. So they are like almost like a digital NGO, and they do things on their own idealistic approach. They don't do it for money. So we call them, in the physical world we call activists, in the digital world we call activists. So these are the five
Okay.
type of we have.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Uh, So you have explained that there are differences. Basically, everyone is hacking, but there are some people who are hacking for good cause. That is the question which keeps on continuously coming. That Is hacking at all good, for instance? I mean, can we say hacking is good?
See, there is a question which has come up from Ankita
Yes,
Bhattacharya. So we
yes,
can
yes.
your question
Yeah,
and
we
this
can
question
address that.
somehow related. So let me take up this question. So the
Sure.
question says, if a person's mobile and computer system be hacked in the name of ethical hacking, is it permitted in our legal framework? So if somebody is hacking into a mobile or computer system, then it is never ethical hacking. It is unethical hacking, and that is never going to be permitted in our legal framework. If you think that somebody has hacked into your mobile or computer system without your permission, then immediately you can complain to the cyber cell of Lalbazar or CID, and you can take legal action. It is never ever permitted. As a ethical hacker, we only most I don't work B2C. I work mostly B2B. So like there are big companies like CSC, Spencer, Bandhan Bank, Amri Hospital. These are the clients where we have gone and tried to hack into their system. Why? Because they asked us to do it. So suppose
Okay.
Amri or Apollo Hospital, when they are very skeptical, how good is your my security? So what do they do? They ask people like us, and mean I us means our company, our audit firm, where we have at least 25 people, to please come and try to hack into our system so that we ourselves know that whether we are hackable or hack proof. That
Okay.
is called ethical hacking. Anything outside that is not ethical hacking. However, there is an exception. If you search on Google, you will see there are 12 corporates, 12, and I will not say corporate, 12 government agency who has been given the license to hack into anybody's machine. So, take for example, narcotic, anti-narcotic bureau. Take for example, Delhi police. Take for example, CBI. These organizations has been given the power to hack into anybody's machine because they do this for national security. So when national security is concerned, there are 12 organizations which has been given the authority to hack into anybody's system from government of India. So other than this 12 organization, if somebody wants to test any system, scan any system, that scanning has to be done only when there is a written invitation to that person. You please come and try to experiment with my system for my knowledge, for my clarity that my system is secure. And only a hacker can tell you whether some bad hacker can hack into a system. So that is what we do as an ethical hacker or a good hacker.
Great. Very interesting. Sandeep, I'd come more to the basic issues because the basic issues are what what do you say? It affects us, impacts our day-to-day life. So you have talked about credit card and things like that. So this is the age of digital banking. So as a person who has to perhaps do banking, and now because of this lockdown, such a long period, we are at home, we are still at home, still trying to find ways to go out. So whenever we do a little bit of banking, we are probably doing it through the internet. So what are the primary precautions that one should be taking, just as an individual? If I were to ask you as a specialist, what would you advise?
Okay,
There's
so
some.
you can do net banking primarily through an app or through a website.
Right.
So if you go through a website, if you are trying to do a net banking through a website, make sure that that website starts with HTTPS. That means when you go to the hyperlink or the URL where you type www.somebank.com, before that www, you should have HTTPS.
H.
That S
Right.
stands for security. And if you look into if you go even open Google or Gmail or Facebook, you will see all
Yes.
of them with HTTPS, and you will see a lock over there, a lock icon over there. If that lock icon shows open, they don't trust that website. Number one. Number two, if you are using a laptop or an app or a mobile, that handset is compromised, then nobody can save you because whatever you type over there, that will get to the go to the hacker. So the device that you are using, that is very important. So if you have a laptop, use an antivirus. If you have a mobile, not only have an antivirus, also make sure that you are not using installing unnecessary apps in your mobile. If you take a
Okay.
random handset, I see they have loaded hundreds of games, astrology software, different types of entertainment softwares. Now these are malware. So if I have put malware into my mobile or a laptop and I'm using that device to do net banking, then definitely nobody can keep me safe. So
Yeah.
please
On
take this.
that issue, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Carry on. Tell me. Tell me.
Yeah.
I
So
just
please
wanted
take.
to. I had a supplementary. When you talk about these apps, which are generally available in what Google Play, which one trusts? Google is a company one trusts, and those all these apps are listed under them, and we are downloading it. And of course, there are two issues. One of the, you can freely download, and if you want to avoid nuisance like advertisements, etc., then you have to pay for it. That's how those things seem to be differentiated. So we are trusting. What's happening here? I how does it happen? 1 minute. Huh? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that how then we who do we trust for these apps also?
Now, that's a very interesting question you have asked. If everything on Google is trustworthy, why Indian government has to ban 200 apps, which are all available on App Store and Play Store?
Hmm.
That is something a food for thought, right?
Absolutely.
So, not
What are these companies? Why, when the government is banned,
so
when
there is a threat.
of course.
If government
So
has
that means,
banned this,
is it that these companies, like you said, app stores, you said Google Play, are these companies not questioning these apps at all? Looking
so
at the
Google
antecedents of the people?
So Google actually, if you look very carefully, Facebook and Google already has privacy lawsuit filed against them more than
Okay,
millions of dollars.
okay,
So they
okay,
are doing business,
okay.
and whether fair business or not fair business, that I will not comment. But they have a lot of lawsuits against them where they have been. It has been said that they have broken the privacy framework and they are playing with the privacy or playing with a lot of confidential information. So when an app has been uploaded in Google Play Store, they do check certain level of security, but that doesn't mean that it's 100% secure. So
Okay.
suppose, to give you an example, you have a torch app on Google Play Store, and
Hmm.
that torch app, the moment you try to install, I think Chitrolekha has asked a very good question: how
Hmm.
to understand which app is secure? So I request somebody can write those. Yes, I think Chitrolekha
Hmm.
has asked, how do we know which app is secure?
Hmm.
So when I'm trying to install an app, I first must check how many reviews, how many rating. Go and read the review and see if anybody has reported anything negative about that app in the review. And most important, when you try to install the app, find out what type of permission that app is asking for. If I'm
Generally, they
installing
ask us.
app, they have nothing to do with my SMS. Because if a torch app is taking permission to SMS, I am basically handing over my bank OTP to that app because my bank OTP is nothing but an SMS. So all the app which has been given a permission to SMS can actually be my bank thief, can actually steal my bank OTP, my transaction OTP. and we think that OTP is my first and last line of defense. So that is very, very dangerous. So never try to
That's
install an app which takes permission to your SMS, to your camera, and to your microphone. Even if you install an app which has taken permission, once the installation is complete, try to remove this permission and see whether the apps are working or not. Surprisingly, most of the apps
they
will
won't.
still work.
They won't.
They will
They
work.
will
They
work.
will work.
Okay.
Yes, they
Okay.
will work.
Okay.
If you think that some of one or two of the apps are not working, then you have to take a call whether you can live with this app or you have to uninstall this app.
Sanjukta asked a question. Would you like to respond to that?
Yes, for individuals coming up with a new organization startup, what are the cyber security matters that they need to keep in mind? So I'll give you two answers. There are a lot of things. I mean, then I you are basically asking me for a free consultancy, but I will give you two answers. Uh, First thing, you can get killed by compliance. So if you are a company, suppose an having an organization which is handling e-commerce, and if you are storing credit card, then you must be a PCI compliant company. If you are handling some healthcare information, you have to be compliant to HIPAA. If you are handling some US mortgage client, you need to be compliant to SOC. So try to make sure what type of compliance you need to satisfy. If you are catering to European clients, you need to be GDPR compliant. What will happen if you are not GDPR compliant? Moment there is an incident, you have to pay $4 million or euro. I'm sorry, 4 million euro. And as
Europe.
a startup company, you don't have that amount of money. You don't want to spend that amount of money paying the against the lawsuit rather than doing your business and paying that money for your growth. So this is very important. Second, whatever software, network, hardware, if you are a company, most of the companies, startups are now tech driven. So you have some technology, some software, something to offer to the people. Try to get your software, your product audited. I have not sent this to do a sales speech. This is not a sales speech of mine. Please get it audited by an auditor. Because if the money that you save by not auditing that product by an ethical hacker, you will end up 10 times that money by paying against that lawsuit. So keep this
Wonderful.
in mind. Whatever product you have, get it audited before you go live.
So I hope Sanjukta has got her answers. Now I'll shift a little bit. Again, I'm not holding anybody's brief here, but it is an observation which comes out of reading and observing things that are happening around you. Uh, there is a belief. This is a lot of market surveys talk about it, that there is Linux and Unix servers dominate the internet. One of the reasons often mentioned is because of security. What makes these servers more secure, or if at all they do?
This is a complete myth. Linux is
Okay.
not more secure than Windows, or Windows is not more secure than Linux.
Okay.
Linux is a very secured operating system if it is managed by a highly technical person. Since a
Okay.
server, because Linux and Unix are usually meant for servers, and servers are
Right.
controlled by technology, technical people. So if you are not very tech savvy and you have installed a Linux or a Unix in your home machine, you are basically a sitting duck for a hacker. Because Windows was meant for non-technical people. So Microsoft Windows come with a lot of security features. But the negative point is you cannot make it more secured by you using your knowledge. So it comes as a ready-made box. Whatever is there, you take it, what you get it, right? So you cannot make it more secure. However, Linux comes like an open box. You have to make
Right.
it secure. So if
Right.
you make it secure, it becomes very secure. But if you are a non-technical person, never use Linux as one of your install Linux in your laptop or desktop.
Okay.
I think
That
Chittur
that
and
that
which I want to take up. We have
yeah.
recently
Please do.
witnessed decisions in the admission process of a several college. It can happen to any organization. How can we prevent this? Again, the same answer comes over there. The whole entire process was flawed. Sunny Leon's photo was published on the merit list not only this year but also last year. So this process there is a flaw, and the organization should have learned from that. So these should have been audited, and they should have consulted ethical hackers like that. So how this can be stopped, and it can be stopped very easily. So if these colleges during the admission process they have sent an OTP to the mobile, then nobody would have done this nuisance. Because the moment you fill up an application form, a OTP would have come to your mobile. I have to put that OTP in the application form, and then only the app form will be submitted. So if
Right.
someone uploaded a Sunny Leon photo in the application form, I immediately know which mobile he has uploaded
Use.
it from. Immediately, police can catch that person. But that OTP level validation was not there. So that is why all this nuisance happened. So if you go to a security consultant, I think that person can guide you how to make a strategy, how to make a software where this security problems will not happen. With PUBG and 118 has got banned today, wherein the government actually mentioned is for national security. Please
This I
broaden the
think you have already dealt with this, but you can add to this if there is anything more to say.
Yes, I think I mentioned on television just a few minutes back, in fact, half an hour back, this all these apps will still work. Government has banned this, but they didn't tell what is the alternate app. So these apps
Right.
are like politics is an addiction. Cam Scanner is a app which is used for scanning documents. There are camera which are used for day-to-day use. So there are several apps which people are they are popular apps and people are using it. That has become part of our livelihood. So we cannot stop the work. We are dependent on this app. So government should have told people that I am banning these 118 apps, and these are the 118 alternate apps which you can use. Those alternate app suggestion or recommendation is missing. So what will happen? Not a single person will know which are the alternatives, and they will try to bypass this ban and continue using the banned app. So the problem
So
will not get solved.
so
And
no,
there is
unless you, whenever we specify a problem, it is very important to have a solution also. Otherwise,
correct, correct.
because
Otherwise,
these apps are in.
see, I just mentioned in one of the television channels just half an hour back, government is
Uh,
fighting against the citizen. Government should fight against China. So if I say I will not allow you to use it, then the fight is between the Indians and the government, Indian government. Ideally, the fight should be between the Indian government and India and the citizen against the Chinese. If you have given the recommendation that these are the alternate safe apps, then not a single Indian would have used those banned. But without that recommendation, everybody will use a VPN and continue using this app, and government will not be able to stop it.
but tell me,
What?
Sandeep, sorry to interrupt. If there is 200 odd apps, and here they're talking about 118 apps, so whichever the figure is, uh, if these were banned, they were banned for some other reason, maybe more political than anything else. I am not aware of. I'm not very sure, so I don't want to comment on that. But the point is, mm, are there any apps available as good, suitable, which are suitable and which can replace the ads that have been banned? Is it there?
Yes,
I mean, do we have?
yes. Every app that has been banned has an
Yes.
alternative, but that is not popular. Why it is not
Right.
popular? Because these companies, Chinese companies, have spent enormous money for the
Yes.
publicity.
Yes.
So that has
Right. Right.
reached the household. But the
Right.
alternate apps come from a startup, might come from an Indian startup, and people are not aware of it. So if you go to Play Store and look for a scanner app, you will see there are many scanner apps which are not from China. Just try to find out
Okay.
which company has made that app and what is the
Hmm.
origin of that company. If
How do
you
you know it?
think that
How do you,
of
by
the
looking at the
company,
app, you will probably not know. How will you know
no,
this?
you can know that.
Okay.
You will go to the Play Store or the App Store. You
Yeah.
go open that app, and every app they have mentioned which company has made that app. Go to
Okay.
Google and find out what is the origin of that company, and immediately
Okay.
you will see that it is from China or outside China. So every
Okay.
app that has been banned, there is an alternate app. And if you do a
Okay.
little bit of checking on the Play
Hmm.
Store, App Store, you will definitely find out which are the alternate non-Chinese app which has the highest rating and the review. You start using that app. However,
Right.
this list could have come from the government, and it
Right.
is
Right.
genuinely a problem. As you mentioned, whether it is political, it's not just political. Some of these apps are really dangerous. So when I say Cam Scanner app has been banned. Now, thousands and millions of people are using Cam Scanner to scan legal documents, to scan projects, maybe
Hmm.
government documents. Where is Cam Scanner saving these images? They are saving it in a Chinese server. So China has hundreds and millions of documents, which might be a very confidential document, and people were not aware that CamScanner is a Chinese company. So if I am scanning a legal document or a government document, that file copy, a copy is with China, which is dangerous. That should have
Yes, of
stopped.
course. So tell me again, a lot of documents are being sent through apps like Telegram, like WhatsApp. Okay. So are they safe, or
If
what
you are
should one
using,
do?
suppose you are using a Zoom, we had a lot of controversy with the Zoom app.
Yeah.
The Zoom server is in China. So
Yeah.
if the server is in China, every Zoom conference, and sometimes we heard that the political parties are having conference using free Zoom. So then China is observing all the political parties and they know what is their next move. And they are having confidential political parties on Zoom. Whom are they trying to hide from? Indian people? It is exposed to China. So if a
Hmm.
confidential political party, Chinese guys are watching it and Indian guys have no clue about it, then that is the silliest thing I can
So
ever hear
so
of.
it's regardless of whether you take the free or you pay for it, they would still have all the information, right?
No, if you are having a paid Zoom, you can actually opt out from Chinese server.
Okay.
However, not many people are know this
Aware
feature.
of this.
And
Right.
even suppose if they are claiming that you can opt out of Chinese server, nobody knows that a copy is still going to China.
That's right. That's what I was trying to say. That so you are still not safe if you are using any of these apps which are developed in China with their servers in China,
Now
right?
there are three type of applications. The
Yes.
application which is developed and server is in China.
Yes.
Application which is developed outside China, like Zoom, but the author is a Chinese. He is not a Chinese by citizenship, but he is a Chinese by origin. And there
Hmm.
might be a lot of influence, China influence in that app. Otherwise, that
Hmm.
guy would not have chosen a Chinese server for the free version. And there are apps which are highly Indian but funded by
Hmm.
China. And
Hmm.
if you come to this list, you will be surprised. Half of our top applications apps are funded by Chinese companies. What about these apps? How many can you ban?
So we have reached almost 50 minutes, and probably we could go on. This subject is so alluring and so interesting. But what I'll do is come quickly to something. Since we are talking about apps, we're talking about technology, we're talking about
I think
software.
somebody asked a question, how
Hmm.
can you identify fake news? That question
Ah,
was asked some time back. So if you hear about a news, there
it's
are
nothing.
several websites on the
Ah,
internet. Yeah, I think Mr.
ah,
Raghavendra Banerjee has asked, how can we identify
ah,
fake news?
yes.
So basically, when you hear a news, go to Google and write
Yeah, and look at it.
and fact checkers. So now we
Right,
have
right.
hundreds of fact-checking websites which will tell
Hmm.
you whether it's a fake news or it's not a fake news. So
It's
just
it's an
search that news, that title on Google and write the word fake. If it's a fake news, we will go and if a lot of fake fact checkers. These are called
hmm.
fact
It's a
checker websites, which will tell you it's a hoax.
I mean, this would probably qualify as a psychological crime, but we are perhaps not looking at that kind of crime at the moment. So, a very simple question that I would like to ask that suppose I would have to purchase a commercial software package. How do I verify that it can be trusted and that it's not containing any secret malware?
Oh, that is very difficult to. That is the
Difficult
whole
question.
point of having this app. Yeah,
Okay.
if it's a software, I can do an audit by an auditor because a lot of companies before they do the purchase, they are getting it audited by a third party before they buy it, due just at the time of the POC. And one more point is like uh, you can suppose if you are developing a software, not just outright purchase, then you ask these developers whether they know OWASP.
Okay.
OWASP is a framework for secure coding. So if some
Okay.
developer is coming to me and telling me that
Hmm.
I can make a software for you, and when I ask the developer whether you know OWASP, he just looks blanks at me, then definitely that developer is not a good developer. The software that
Okay.
he will make is destined to get hacked.
Okay, so I mean, these international standards like ISO, IEC 27001, these things. I mean, if I'm talking about them, am I talking relevantly when we are talking about security threats?
I am myself a ISO 27001 auditor for British
Okay,
standard.
okay,
But I would say if you are talking about technology, then vulnerability and assessment penetration testing is
okay,
a more sure shot way of finding out whether there is a problem. ISO
okay,
27000 is more aligned to process than technology. So if we are talking
okay.
about technology, whether I am buying the right software or not, then VAPT is the way. If I want to find out the process that I am following is secured or not, then ISO 2700 is the way.
Sandeep, right at the beginning, when we started this discussion, I had this curiosity, and I think when we are reaching almost the end of our discussion, I'm going to ask that question because I'm not going to resist anymore. So I'm going to ask you, what made you think about becoming an ethical hacker?
Well, I didn't start as an ethical hacker to be very precise. Uh, Between the friends, we did all type of experiment and mischief. So it was not to harm somebody. It was just going after the friends, and that was may not be right. I would say ethical hacking. But I when I went to New Zealand, Auckland, then most of the early morning servers are in Auckland because Auckland is the place where the sun rises. So I went to Auckland, I was working with the early morning service, and we had clients like British Defence, Barclays, and a lot of good companies, big banks. So there I started my work as an ethical hacker. And then that time, I believe nobody valued us actually in India because that time the cybersecurity was not a problem. But slow as things got like people were moved into the cyber world, our importance became higher. And now I see there is a lot of money into cybersecurity. So if you are an ethical hacker, even the freshers are getting salaries like 2 lakh per month who are right out from the college. So that's a huge money because a company with a 10,000 crore asset, they want somebody who can protect them. And as
Yes.
per NASCOM survey, we need 5 lakh ethical hackers over the coming 5 years, and we have only 50,000. So
So it's a
people who
great it's a great profession to have. So how do you? What is your recommendation? Who are the people who can become such hackers?
practically
Okay.
anybody, like we have the BTech BCA guys who are going into VAPT. So I also have a training institute other than my audit firm. So it is called Indian School of Ethical Hacking. So we train around 1200 people per year. Now see,
Okay.
these people, like our students are working in Calcutta Police, in CID, in CTAs, TCAs, even Google, Oracle, all the big four companies, even like the income tax, our people, students are working. So these students are getting a very fat salary. Now, if you say, is it only the BTech guys? And what about the non-BTech? Even if you are from the BCom background, like a commerce background, you go for a finance audit. Even if you go for a finance audit, that finance
Or
is also computer. You need to
right.
find the digital footprint. So even these guys are getting a lot of, job in the cyber security. We are seeing that lawyers are coming to us because most of the crimes are digital crime. So they are now
So
coming, hundreds of lawyers are coming to us and they are taking up courses. The
great,
common students,
Sandeep. If I discount my age, perhaps I am still eligible to do it because I have a commerce background and also have a law background. So perhaps I have
the,
I have a chance. I have a chance today. So thank you
the
so
most
much.
serious question who
There
came
was
to
one
us,
there was one
now
little
the
observation.
interesting
I think
part,
somebody
the
some
most serious
a question.
student who came to us was 73 years of age.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So there was one question I think which floated on the ticker. Somebody who asked that how does he, since they're doing online classes now, everything is online. That's the question I think. And how do they secure their systems from home?
Oh,
Because
there's a PDF file
hmm,
from the Home Ministry how to secure your online classes.
okay,
You
okay,
can
from
you
home
can send
ministry.
me a WhatsApp. I don't know. My WhatsApp number can be written in the chat window.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
nine eight
surely.
three one zero five five zero. Send me a WhatsApp. I will share that PDF file, which gives you a step-by-step guideline how to secure the classes. But if you want a nutshell, have a
Hmm,
password. Just log the these classes with a password, and
hmm,
do not ask your student not to share the password in the social media, and keep the
okay,
camera on, where you can see the student, but students cannot see each other. If you do
right.
that, more or less secure, but there are at least 15 points. You
Hmm.
share, you just send me a hi message on WhatsApp, and I will share the PDF file with you.
Great, Sandeep. It was a wonderful evening, I must say. Learned a lot, and we have communicated earlier also, but not in to such great length. So it was wonderful and lovely having you here. And I'm sure we're going to have many more sessions like this later on because there is so much to learn, and you still have to create 4.5 lakh people, right? You said so. There is
Yes,
enough.
yes. 3.5 lakh deficit.
No,
We
there's
need
only
to secure.
50,000 there, so you still have to create
Only 50,000.
4.5 lakhs.
India
So
needs to ethical hackers.
thank you so much. And if Sanjukta, you're there, I would request you to, pull the curtains down on this very wonderful discussion that we've had. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you.
Over to you, Sanjukta.
Thank you, Mr. Sandeep Sengupta, and thank you, Mr. Subhash Mohanty, for that insightful conversation that we had today. A big thank you to our audience because they were actively participating in the discussion. I now, before we end the session, want to take the opportunity to inform everyone that we have a webinar coming tomorrow at from 6:30, talking about if we are compromising with our food habits, immunity boosting, and mental health. You can find more details on the Facebook page of PRSI Kolkata chapter. And with that, we end today's session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.